Three, two, one. Welcome back to another episode of TacoCorp Fantasy Football League podcast. I am your host, Nate. You can find me on Twitter and all socials at Naterate530. And you can find our podcast on all socials. And that is actually on all socials. That is Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube. We're putting out the YouTube videos at TacoCorp Pod. So you can go down in the show notes, click the link there. Or if you're on YouTube right now, you'll have all the links to all the audio stuff there and all the other socials as well. Today, I'm joined by the host of the Whiskey Flick podcast, where they talk about movies and whiskeys. We've mentioned them, shout them out a little bit here, get you guys over there to listen to that kind of stuff if you like that kind of stuff. Or if you don't like it, just send it to all your friends. Terence Dunn, how the hell are you doing, Terence?
I am doing very good. I'm so excited to be back on the show. First of all, you shouted out all the socials. I'm still waiting for the MySpace page to drop. So I don't know when that's happening because I want to be in the top 8. You know what I mean? Like I'm ready to lobby.
You can also catch me. You can also catch me at Naterate530 on Hot or Not. I think that's still a thing. I don't know. I was pretty big on that thing back in the day. I don't know. It was like a 98% hot rate.
I mean, let's be honest. We're all just really waiting for the TacoCorp OF page, right? Like that's
where we're going. We will not be doing Patreon in the future when we blow up and become ultra famous. It will be OnlyFans. So anybody who's listening, our age demographic is primarily male from the ages of like 25 to 40, right? You're going to have to explain to your significant other and show them that your OnlyFans is strictly for the TacoCorp Fantasy Football League podcast. That is what we will be.
Nothing self-serving.
Yeah. If you want to see our feet, get on our OnlyFans. So, Fantasy Football Feet Finder.
There we go.
Anyways, it's Halloween week, Terence. It's Halloween week. I know you're a big Halloween guy. You're a big spooky season guy. I see all your stuff in your socials and stuff like that. So,
yes,
we'll cover a bunch of topics. But this will be primarily a little bit of Halloween stuff throughout the episode. But standard topics, top of mind, what's on top of our mind coming in and out of this week. Go manager and manager, get to know each other a little bit better. News and notes. So we'll touch on our league standings. This is a podcast revolved around the 12 members of our fantasy football league, where we talk about things in sports, things not in sports, music, whatever we like, but it's really about the personalities within our league. And then we touch on sports stuff to get people triggered. So there's that. We will do a draft, finish out with rants and raves before we leave you with the banger of the week to get you ready for Halloween. Terrence, top of mind coming into this week out of last week.
Top of mind this week coming out of last week. I actually have two things that are on top of mind. I have one that's kind of serious and then one that's kind of fun. I don't know which one you want first.
Give me the serious one first.
And you probably know what the serious one is already.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that's front of mind that's on a serious tip is I got to give a shout out and send all the love to from the TacoCorp League. Matt Graham, he's been on the show before, the owner of Boner Jams 03, is going to be undergoing a procedure this week. So thinking a lot about him, obviously, and his family. So sending a lot of love and thoughts and prayers over his way.
Yep.
I'm sure he's going to do fabulous and it's going to be fantastic. But, you know, all the positive vibes in the world. That's definitely top of mind. On a fun note, it's almost Halloween, man. It's a week away, and you know Halloween is like my time. So that's definitely the other one half of the brain is the serious, and the other half of the brain is ready for spooky season. So
yeah,
that's where my brain is exclusively. How about you?
The top of mind, big one, right, is Matt. Wished him well earlier today. I just kind of sent him the little emoji with the heart, right, the hands in the heart, right, and so we were talking a little bit, and I said, at least you'll have a good excuse to blame your meds for sending a hospital gown upskirt pic of your taint to the group text. And for that, I'm pretty jealous, right? And he's like, well, we'll see. I don't want to confuse anyone on their sexuality. And I was like, hey, I speak for everybody when I say we can appreciate a solid, unsolicited taint pic. So he's like, he's like, good to know. So, maybe tomorrow morning or something like that, we'll all have taint pictures or something like that. I think it's like afternoon. He should be good to go. So, telling him all this stuff. So, yeah, that's kind of top of mind. I guess on another serious note too, right? I pinned this to our league's Twitter account, right? A good friend of ours, a family friend from my side of the family, the person in which my ex-wife, right, and lives with. So she's a roommate with her and her daughters and stuff like that. They live together in Virginia. My kids stayed there. They watch over our kids whenever, mom's got to work and stuff like that. And their kids are really good friends with my kids. They're always on FaceTime together, playing Roblox and stuff like that. And they're like early teenage kids. But the girl who is the adult and the mother of those kids, her mother passed away unexpectedly at a younger age just this last weekend. So they put out a GoFundMe thing, and their mom didn't have any insurance kind of stuff or anything left behind. And the rest of the family kind of just works, normal job stuff. So they're not really in a position to do what they want to do properly, send her off or whatever like that. So they started a GoFundMe. I think they're almost like 60% of the way. I think it was, they just priced out funeral expenses and stuff like that for where she lives at. So they raised like 60% of the cash in one day. So that's pinned to the Twitter account at TacoCorp Pod. If you have a little bit extra cash, $5, $10, $1, whatever it may be, if you could help out there, that would really mean a lot to me personally, to my family, and to them forward to us as well. So they're pretty blown away by the response that they got. So I think I was looking at some of it, and there's like someone who dropped a G in there, $500,
Wow.
a couple 300s, 200s, and stuff like that. So people were really trying to help them out, understand their situation, stuff like that. She's also a single mom who raises 2 girls on her own, teenage girls too. So, but they're a big part of my kids' lives and stuff like that too. And, obviously the ex-wife's lives, who I'm really good friends with. So it would mean a lot, but that's top of mind coming out of this. Wishing everybody well, going through a lot of troublesome times right now, a lot of tough times, some people in our league as well too.
It's a week.
Yeah, it's a week. So
we're
going to have some
fun.
Week
for the ages.
Yep. So out of that, we're going to end up having some fun here and talking a lot of Halloween stuff going forward, put some laughs into people's faces and some smiles on people's faces as well. Especially you, Terence, because you are the spooky guy.
Oh my God, it's my shit.
Moving on to manager on manager. So my question for you this week, Terence, is what is your favorite Halloween costume that you wore as a kid?
So I had to actually go back and look through like old pictures to answer this question because, and we were talking a little bit before we started recording, I don't wear a lot of costumes now, and I don't have a ton of memories of costumes from when I was a kid. Like I was thinking about this and blanked. So I went back to some old photo albums, and I found a picture of me dressed up as a Ghostbuster. And I still love the Ghostbusters. I went to New York City in September, and we visited the actual fire station that was the Ghostbusters headquarters. So give me Ghostbusters like all day for sure. That was definitely like the coolest. Still to this day, I would dress up as a Ghostbuster for Halloween.
Nice. So for me, I don't really remember dressing up for Halloween as a kid. I only remember one costume, but it was awesome. We got a picture of it. I grew up in family business. So Halloween, we were open. We had a grocery store, right? We had a pizza shop. So my parents were working one or the other. So we were always working. So me and my sister, a lot of times I remember us handing out candy and stuff like that to kids. That's where I fell in love with the popcorn ball. Because one year we had nothing but popcorn balls. I think it was like the Frito-Lay guy gave us a big old case of popcorn balls to hand out and stuff like that. So, but one year I remember it, I was Joe Montana for Halloween, and it was like this costume thing, but it had a full kind of jersey thing that went over shoulder pads. It had the fake helmet and like the little pads inside the pants and stuff like that. So I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I still think it's like one of the coolest pictures I have as a kid. I remember that year we went with somebody else, and they took us to like the mall for trick-or-treating, because I don't really remember going out in neighborhoods and stuff like that. I think maybe once as like a early teenager, maybe like 6th, 7th grade, somewhere around there, 7th grade, 8th grade. But I really only remember that one time as a youth, but it was one of the coolest things. I still remember it. The costume was still at my parents' house. I saw it a couple weeks ago, so it was pretty cool.
Nice.
So that's for me. You got a question for me?
I do, and this is probably going to be a hard one for you to answer because we kind of chatted about it a little bit the other day. But one of my favorite things to do at Halloween time is to watch movies, usually spooky movies for me. But I know there's a lot of different Halloween movies that people like to watch this season. So what is your favorite movie to watch during this time of year?
For me, so I'm a big Christmas guy. So Christmas is my jam. My actual birthday is this Saturday, so the 29th of October. It is right
Happy
at
early
Halloween.
Birthday.
Thanks. It is right at Halloween. So it is something that everybody cares about Halloween. Never really cared about my birthday, right? So I don't really remember having birthday parties either. Like one time we went to Round Table Pizza, and that was kind of cool because they had the video games and stuff. I still dig Round Table. I think it's the best pizza from like a chain or whatever that you can get. They got those garlic knots that are fucking amazing. We just smashed on those back before Round Table pizzas were like $32 to get a large. So it is the most expensive place to eat pizza. So unless people are from like the Central Valley has this place called Me and Ed's. It's pretty dope. We got something that's kind of like that here a little bit too, but it's not that. But so for me, and I'm not really the big Thanksgiving guy either. So for me, it's going to be Nightmare Before Christmas because it's kind of a fun movie, and you can either say it's a Halloween movie because it's about Halloween Town, or you could talk about it being a Christmas movie because it's introducing, the joy of Christmas, and Jack's trying to bring that to Halloween Town and then put their own spin on it and stuff like that. So for me, it's Nightmare Before Christmas just because it kind of starts it's that bridge, right? Like next week, or next weekend essentially. So the weekend after Halloween's on a Monday, I'm gonna start prepping all the Christmas stuff. So the Saturday right after first weekend of November, we're putting up Christmas. So Night Before Christmas is my jam.
Nice. Well, I'll share my, I guess, trade secret, because I have for the past, I think like 6 or 7 years, I have watched the same triple feature on Halloween night every year. It's the same 3 movies in the same sequence every year. The original Halloween, part 1 and part 2, just, I don't know. It's the classic for me. And I love watching them back to back because they're both supposed to take place on Halloween night, which is really fun. And then the one I added a few years ago was the movie Trick or Treat, which is kind of newer. It came out in 2007. It's an anthology movie. It's if you've seen the dude that looks like a little kid with like a burlap sack and an orange jumpsuit with a busted, like scary looking lollipop. Sam, that's the character Sam from Trick or Treat. It's just a really fun movie. So that's why I always like to end the night with that, because it's got some good scares, but it's also just like kind of funny and entertaining and a little bit cheesy. It's made by the same guy that made Krampus. So it's a nice fun way to end the night. But yeah, every year, those 3 movies on Halloween night, like clockwork. It's how I close spooky season and move into Thanksgiving and Christmas. So.
Nice. I haven't watched those movies, so I'm not a big scary movie person either. So it makes it a little bit difficult for me to fall in love with like Halloween movies. And I think that's just because I'm not into like being scared. I was very protected as a kid, and I remember watching one scary movie as a kid, and it scared me for life. And the first one was Candyman. And so whenever I think of Halloween, it reminds me of scary, right? People like to scare you, or they like to do prank stuff or haunted houses and stuff. And I've always thought about stuff of like, this is how movies start, right? Like people are excited about something, they think it's a joke, and then it's not really a joke. So I haven't watched any of those, but I don't know. I'm 35, about to be 36. Maybe it's something that I need to get into, right? And like, I got hair on my face, so maybe I should be able to watch a little bit of scary shit. But yeah, so
if you need recommendations, I've got plenty.
Yeah. Cool. I see posters in your place. I see shirts that you wear. I see, yeah, definitely. I see all of the stuff that you go watch at like all these different theaters, right? All these classic theaters in the LA area. And I'm like, yep, fuck that. I like breathing. So, all right, let's move on to news and notes before I just cancel the rest of this podcast. So
you got it.
News and notes. So we're going to touch on some sports topics here. We'll do some trick or treat with those. And then, but before that, we're going to go cover our league standings real quick, just for all the guys in our league. And then you can see how great I am. Anyways, standings update. The only team atop the leaderboard, 6-1, is the Pocket Dogs. And James, our defending champion, he's a 2-time champion. God damn it, he better not get 3. 5-2, we got Too Hot to Handle. And then we got the infamous Boner Jams 03. If he can't manage his team because he's in recovery for 3 weeks and he drops a couple games, I think I might play him around that time frame too. I'm not going to be mad. I care about his health, right? If he has to, skip the waiver wire, not start a quarterback, whatever, understandable. Sitting at 5-2, 4-2, 4-3. You got you and the Milford Academy, Terence. Got Password is Taco. I shave my balls for this. Murder Boners and the infamous Vinegar Strokes. That is yours truly. who is just slaying dragons left and right. I'm basically, Targaryen right now. Shout out to House of the Dragon. Have you watched House of the Dragon, Terence?
No.
Oh, you're not a Game of Thrones person, huh?
Not a Game of Thrones guy.
I was kind of upset by the season finale. It obviously is just the setup for season 2, but they got such a monopoly on all that kind of stuff that I don't know if you want to call it a monopoly, but they got such a hold on to it where people will watch it regardless that they can wait like 3 years for the next season. Right. The problem is they have to record it. They have to have it already recorded or something like that because the ages that they're at, they have to kind of stay around there. But anyways, that's me. I just beat Tony Patriot last week as well. So Tony lost a bet to me, and he told me he would let me put an intro on his podcast for this week's episodes. That was our bet, and he released an episode this morning without my intro. I didn't even get time to. He recorded it right after Monday Night Football and put out an episode. So I'm calling like this is slanderous. It is blasphemy. But sitting at 3-4, you got the Escobar brothers, 2-5, Tony Patriot, 1-6. Shout out Nick. He got himself a win, 3 penis wine. I think he put up like 180 something points this last week. And at 0-7, bringing up the rear, we have formerly known as Cop Size Matter, formerly known as 0-5 Matters, formerly known as 0-6 Matters, the now 0-7 Matters, Chad. So that's our standings update. It'd be fun to see where it goes.
I appreciate that. I do appreciate that he's clearly paying attention because he's updating his name every week. So it's not like he's just like forgotten his team and walked away.
It's one of my favorite things to see Monday morning.
He's having a run of bad luck.
Yeah, he just does it Monday morning before Monday Night Football even starts. It's pretty good. He's just like, yep, 0-7 Matters. So that's pretty good. And we're done. Yep. But I'm glad that, Tony was supposed to be on tonight. And then, you got life stuff happen. So he wasn't able to make it. So I was really excited to open up this show with, introducing you guys as my children because I just got done curb stomping both of you guys' last 2 weeks. So, and then I get to play Password is Taco. I get to play Password is Taco this week, and he's got Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce both on bye, so I'm favored to win by like 40 points right now. It'll come together a little bit because he's going to put a quarterback and stuff in, but no, I think I'm hitting my stride too with my team. My team is putting up decent points, Terrence.
All I'm going to say about the stomping us the past 2 weeks, and you can toss this in Nate's conspiracy corner. Because I think it's really funny that I didn't get invited back onto this podcast until after a 2-week skid, after I started the season hot. I was undefeated for a hot minute, and I was so ready to come on because, man, I was salty that you and Matt on that post-draft episode, neither one of you gave my team any love. Didn't give it any hate, but didn't give it any love. Yeah. I was so ready to come on and talk all kinds of shit, and then I get invited on after the skid. So I see how it is. A little note for the conspiracy corner because I don't think it was unintentional.
This is the TacoCorp Fantasy Football League podcast with your host Nate, not your host Terence. I make the rules. Yeah, no, but yeah, it might have been planned. I was like, yeah, I'm not putting okay, hey Tony, you want to record a podcast? You suck. I'm above you right now, so yeah, that's probably why he didn't
Tony. You're doing terrible. You're going to be in the running for Sacco again. Come on the show.
He's probably got no problems. Like the problems the thing that he had to attend to, right, has been happening for 48 hours or whatever like that. And it kind of sucks as a parent, but he's dealing with that kind of stuff. But I'll throw in the conspiracy hat that his old lady's in on it too, because she's taken off from work. She wrote me the other day, being like, hey, did this happen? This, asked me how things were with my family because we were all together and stuff like that. So, that's juicy. I'm throwing it in there, conspiracy hat, because he lost a bet to me, and Tony's like that. He's not going to pay up, his bets or nothing like that. So
juicy.
Yep. All right, let's move on to NFL news and notes. So all of our topics this week, I believe we got 4, 5, 6 of them, something like that. We're going to play a game called Trick or Treat. So basically, I'm going to name off a stat or a line or a statement, I guess you would say. And then we'll go into whether or not we believe it's a treat, right? It's a nice burp. It's a nice thing, or they're just tricking us, right? If it's a trick, or if they're tricking themselves or whatever like that. So number one, New York football is at an all-time high right now, Terrence, and the New York Giants have the second best record in the entire NFL, sitting at 6-1, only behind the Philadelphia Eagles in win percentage.
Oh, yeah.
The Buffalo Bills are at 5-1 and look to be ready to win a Super Bowl. And the Jets are sitting at 5-2. JETS. Yups. Trick or treat on this.
Trick.
New York football. It's a trick? You think it's a trick?
I think it's a trick. I mean, the Bills are legit. We knew that going into the season. You never trust the Jets, and especially in recent years, you never trust the Giants. I mean, look at the Yankees just getting swept by the Astros. Like, anything involving New York sports is always subject to a spectacular collapse. Trick.
That's so good. A spectacular collapse. I think it's a treat. One, it's fun to watch the Bills, right? Because of their really just because of their 100%. Fan base. The Bills could be the team that they are, stuff like that, but they just have like a normal fan base, like say the Colts or something like that. Nobody really cares. They're just like, oh yeah, they're pretty cool, right? But their fan base is so electric, even when they're like, you know, a bad team and stuff like that. So they got a good reputation. So it's nice to see them doing well. And they're like way up north. You know, they're basically in Canada, so they don't really get seen as like New York, right? Like they're the people that got to say, "Oh, we're from upstate," which means you're basically above Jersey. You know, like a 10 miles into New York is upstate, and the rest of the state. So that's there. I'm a believer in the New York Giants. I think they got something going with the coaching staff. Danny Dimes, I've always been a truther for. Spoke about it here. I think they're going to make it to the NFC Championship game somehow, some way. It just seems like fate. It's one of those Eli Manning throw it, you know, off a David Tyree helmet catch things that gets them, you know, one more round in the playoffs. Kind of like the Jaguars back in the day when they should have won at Foxborough against the Patriots with Blake Bortles to go to the Super Bowl. And they got hosed out of that thing as well. And it's just fun seeing the Jets win. You know, I think if you were a New Yorker, and I posted a tweet about this a couple weeks ago, Terence, and you said, why? But contemplating switching all my sports teams to New York sport teams because they're all bad. They're all bad and they're all terrible. And, you know, it's nice. I'll keep the Dodgers because that's near and dear to my heart, and I can claim Brooklyn at that point. But the Niners are good, and it's kind of just like, Notre Dame is kind of whatever, right? They're always pretty decent. This year's not a good year, but they're always pretty decent. So it's like, you know, why don't I just go back to the bottom of the barrel? I'll be a Knicks fan, a Rangers fan, a Jets fan. And I might like Syracuse. I might like Rutgers. Rutgers is right around the corner from there in Jersey. So, you know, just switch it up. Well, but you gotta like the Jets being good. You gotta like the Jets winning because their fan base is like hardcore fan base, right?
Yeah, but I don't know that they actually are good. I mean, I get the numbers, whatever, but I don't buy it. I still think it's a trick. I will also just like further turn the knife on New York sports. So first of all, Knicks and Rangers. I mean, I don't really have a ton of input on that because I don't follow basketball. I don't care about hockey enough, I guess. Rangers hockey, Rangers hockey. See, I can't even keep track on that one. From a football standpoint, though, if you're going to follow a New York team, that I would assume would mean the Bills because the Giants and the Jets are in East Rutherford, New Jersey. So that's not New York. That's
fuck that. Everybody that works in the city lives in fucking Hoboken. Everybody that works in the city lives in Hoboken.
My goal in my appearance on this podcast is just to piss off New Yorkers. That's like my only objective.
I think we got a title somewhere around there.
Every incendiary New York statement that I could possibly make. Yeah. They're from Jersey.
Yeah. Anyways, I think it's a treat. It's fun to watch. It's fun to watch. It's fun for the fan base. It's entertaining. They shouldn't be doing some of the things that they're doing, but it is what it is. It is what it is. And you know what? At the end of the day, wins matter. So they might finish the season 6-11, but you know what? It was a hell of a run, and you got something to look forward to. So that's that.
That's fair. That's fair.
I got a child in my room right now. Give me a sec. What's up,
child?
A few moments later.
Moving on to topic number 2, we got the Colts. They are benching Matt Ryan for the season. He's got a separated shoulder right now. He was going to miss this week anyways, but they said, you know what? For the rest of the season, Sam Ehlinger is our starter. I don't even know what this means, whether or not it matters who their quarterback is, but is Sam Ehlinger or Matt Ryan getting benched, starting, whatever you want to call it, trick or treat?
I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head with like, does it really matter? I'm gonna say treat just because it can't really get any worse, right? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they've had such a lackluster season between like obviously like Taylor was gangbusters last year and he's been kind of meh. This year, like he just hasn't really popped off in the same way, right? He's kind of like a known quantity. Matt Ryan has certainly not been the revelation that Indy was expecting.
Nope.
If you've got Indy wishing that Carson Wentz came back, then that's like that's not really, that doesn't really bode well. So fuck it, treat. Let's see what the kid can do.
Nice. Yeah, the only thing I worry about is people like Michael Pittman. People are playing the other quarterback or the other wide receiver. His name's Pierce, I believe it is, right? He's come onto the scene lately. Well, who are the passing targets for Sam Ehlinger, right? He's never thrown I believe, a regular season pass in his career. He's been in the league for about a year or so. No. So what does that look for that? Or do teams stack the box? Jonathan Taylor, Naheem Hines, whatever that looks like. So I'm going to go treat. Matt Ryan just passed Dan Marino for, passing yards record or whatever, on the passing yards totem pole. He just passed Dan Marino. So he's kind of done that. He's probably going to retire after this year. Maybe that's just what the Colts do. The Colts and the Broncos are just places for quarterbacks to go retire. And that's about it. So they're literally like a quarterback who plays pretty well away from being decent. So although a couple weeks ago they did start running a lot more up-tempo stuff and it seemed to fit Matt Ryan where he had that big blow-up game and stuff like that. So yeah. See if they do that with Sam Ehlinger. He can run a little bit more. He's a lot more mobile. See what they do with the offense. But I'm going to go with treat as well. I don't think that they're going to end up competing for the division, really. The division stinks, but, but they were one of the people who, like, one of the teams where people were like, they were close favorites for the Super Bowl, right? They were like a top 4 team for Super Bowl odds at the beginning of the season. And now it's like, now it's like, are they even going to make the playoffs? So mostly their offensive line, Jonathan Taylor, they bring in a veteran quarterback. They got receivers, right? Their defense is pretty solid.
Not that good though.
I don't know.
That just feels like a dereliction on the odds makers. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't have put them that high. I mean, like again, veterans should have been good, but Matt Ryan's not that good. Not never. He's not that good in his current state.
Yeah, he had that one MVP season, right, with the Falcons. Maybe that was Kyle Shanahan and his scheme and stuff like that. They made it far, made it to the Super Bowl, but it's a game of 22 players on the field at one time, a coaching staff, and all this other stuff that play a part into it. But Tom Brady gets credit as the greatest of all time because he would never let a 28-3 lead go, right? So wins matter, right? Jets, Jets. Speaking of wins mattering, the Philadelphia Eagles are the last undefeated team sitting at 6-0. Trick or treat.
This is a treat. And I've held firm on my view of Philly since before the season started. I commented on it when I was on Tony's pod on 58 West King. No, I think the Eagles are the real deal. I have them taking the NFC, to be honest with you, and going to the Super Bowl.
Going to the Super Bowl. I think this is a trick. There's fuck Philly. Like Philly is like one of the trashiest fucking towns in the entire
union. New York of you to say fuck Philly.
Philly is trash. You can't eat, like, their whole thing is like a cheesesteak. That's it. Like, what are you going to go do when you go to Philly? The first thing people say is eat a cheesesteak. If the cheesesteaks aren't really that good, Terrence, nobody sits there and says, you know what? I want to go see the Liberty Bell. I want to climb the Rocky Stairs. Yeah, I want to go do that.
Liberty Bell, Rocky Stairs, Independence Hall. I will not stand for this Philadelphia slander.
You ask anybody from Philadelphia, hey, I'm going to Philly. The first thing they're going to do is tell you where to go get a cheesesteak. It's fucking ludicrous. No one gives a shit. Fucking Benjamin Franklin, all those assholes too, right? Nicolas Cage, right? That did the movie over there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Nah, Philly's trash. They're going to be trash. They're not. They got a great run game, but the passing game, Hurts is what he is and stuff like that. The AJ Brown, yeah, but it's gonna fade. I think it's just gonna fade.
So then my follow-up question for you would be, because I think we could both agree that the NFC is trash, right? Like relative to the AFC.
They're winning. The NFC's winning the Super Bowl, Terence.
Really?
Yeah, San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, okay. Calm down. Okay, well, okay. Then we have slight, because I actually think I like the AFC better than the AFC. I was going to ask who you had favored then to go to the Super Bowl for the NFC. It sounds like the Niners.
Yeah, it'd be the Niners.
After the CMC move, they did definitely make themselves competitive for sure. They pushed all their chips in.
Yeah, they definitely just got to get healthy on the defensive end. So having 4 or 5 guys on the roster that could be Pro Bowlers being injured is definitely something. Here's why, Terrence. All right, are the Lions a good team? Are the Lions a good team?
No.
Okay. No. The Vikings. Would you claim the Vikings to be a good team? They are 5-1, I believe, but are they a good team?
The NFC, the entire NFC North is ass.
Okay. The Washington Commanders.
They're getting eliminated first round. No. Oh God, no.
The Jacksonville Jaguars.
No. Aren't they in the AFC?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just calling off teams.
Got it. Okay.
The Arizona Cardinals before DeAndre Hopkins came back.
Arizona's an interesting one. Yeah. Arizona's interesting. I don't know. I don't know how I feel.
Team or no?
I don't know how I feel about Arizona. I'll be honest with you. I don't have a strong opinion on Arizona. Okay. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't think they're in the mix, but I think that they'll make it competitive.
I don't think that they were a good team before DeAndre Hopkins came back last week. So
they were mid, and Kyler Murray's going to be tied up with the new COD anyway. So
yeah, the Dallas Cowboys.
No, they're a fucking mess.
All right, so that is all the teams that the Philadelphia Eagles have beaten this year.
Oh, here we go.
So this is why they stink, because they haven't played anybody minus the Cowboys, really, right? But they played Kirk Cousins, I believe, in prime time. Kirk Cousins was on the road. That's when they beat them. I think it was 26-7. They beat the Detroit Lions in week 1 by 3 points. They beat the Cardinals by, I think it was 3 points. They beat the Cowboys last week by 9. They stink. I don't think they're that good. That's why they are a trick. They don't play anybody. So they're gonna run into the buzzsaw of the San Francisco 49ers and Jimmy Garoppolo and Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Kyle Juszczyk. Spell that one.
I cannot. The TacoCorp spelling bee confirmed that I cannot spell that one.
Yeah. All right. Philly's a trick. All right, moving on. We got 3 more here. Double-digit favorites keep losing outright this year. Terence, with the latest one being the Tampa Bay Buccaneers getting smoked by the Carolina Panthers. They were a 13.5-point favorite. Double-digit favorites this year have lost. I believe it is like, I don't know what it was. They lost an alarming rate. So if you want to bet against double-digit favorites, just do that money line. They just lose outright games. But the Bucs still have a lead in the division.
Yep.
Trick or treat on the Bucs.
On the Bucs. I'm trying to think of how I want to phrase this. I mean, it's a treat for me because I hate Tom Brady, but I think it's a trick. I guess I'm trying to think of how to wrap trick or treat around this. I think the Bucs just look bad. I think that they're a mess. I think they're going to win the division just by attrition. Just because no one else in that division is really that compelling. So I think they'll win by default, but also I think they'll get knocked pretty quickly. Like they're just, I mean, you see these, you see all the, all the like, off the field drama with Brady this year. And there's the videos of him like, yelling at his teammates, and there's drop passes. Like it just doesn't seem like a cohesive unit that's ready to win on the big stage. And unless they fix like that interpersonal shit that seems to be happening on that team, no, I think that they'll do enough to make it to the playoffs, and then they're toast.
I hope they play the Eagles in the playoffs and they're like a wild card team or something like that, and they smoke the Eagles with Leonard Fournette.
No way.
Yeah. I think this is one. I think it's a trick. it's also kind of a treat to watch it, right? Like I'm into like stories and stuff like that. So, the Bucs look like one of the worst teams. They just lost to one of the worst, probably the worst team in the NFL in the Carolina Panthers, who just traded off, they're missing their starting quarterback, and then they trade off Christian McCaffrey, and then they go into it with PJ Walker as a quarterback, and he lights them up. So, yeah, I think them coming around and, they go on like it's week 10 and they go on an 8-game win streak or something like that. And it's like, oh yeah, by the way, this is Tom Brady leading a team in the Buccaneers, right? So I can't say the same for the Green Bay Packers, but second to last one, Monday Night Football. The Bears beat the ever-loving shit out of the New England Patriots. Yeah. And during the game, Patriots fans are chanting Zappe, 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 right? They're looking for this dude Bailey Zappe to come in and replace Mac Jones. Mac Jones throws a pick. He's got kind of like a hurt ankle foot thing or whatever like that. They pull Mac Jones. He gets the hook. Bailey Zappe comes in, ends up losing the game regardless. The dude looks like he's got an arm. He's a late round draft pick, right? It's like, oh my God, this is our Tom Brady. Trick or treat on Bailey Zappe leading the Tampa Bay. Or not the Tampa Bay. I'm stuck on Tom Brady leading the New England Patriots.
So I should preface this by saying that I didn't watch the game. So I have not seen Zappe in action whatsoever. I think that I think it's a trap, if I'm being honest, but I guess I'll go with trick. The Patriots are trying to find stability at quarterback because it's something that they've had for so long, and it's been something that was so other than Belichick's system. It was like the thing that the Patriots were just known for was that stability at quarterback that got them ring after ring. And Mac Jones isn't it, and I wouldn't be surprised if Zappe's not it. Like this is like it's an organization in search of an identity, which fucking sucks for Patriots fans. So
yeah. I'm a big fan of the city of Boston. I can't stand it. I can't stand. I've never been either, but the thought of Boston, right, and going to Boston, seeing Fenway, all the other stuff that happens out in Boston, throw a little bit of tea in the water, that kind of stuff. I got fucking burps, man. I've been drinking soda. It sucks,
Same.
But this is a trick, and I hope that they go with Bailey Zappe. I mean, he won 2 games for them while Mac Jones was out, and he played phenomenal. He looks really good. But every New England Patriots fan sees this dude as their next Lord and Savior, also known as Tom Brady. Like this dude was like he's somehow Tom Brady's son from when he was like 15 years old and had an illegitimate kid or something like that. The dude singing Stacy's mom on the sidelines, So there's that. But I feel like it's just going to blow up in their face. And I'm kind of looking forward to it blowing up in their face because you know what?
Yep.
It's time for the New England Jets to win the division. Or not the New England Jets, the New York Jets to win the division. So there's that.
I'm here for a shit show. Bring it on.
Yeah. I like chaos, turmoil, trauma. Right. I'm a big fan. I'm a big Bad Girls Club fan. So I like crazy shit happening. So chaos.
I like it.
Last one. We got to make a bet. Terence, you're a Rams fan. I was really hoping Tony was here so he could lose 2 bets in a row, right? But the Rams play the Niners this week at SoFi, so also known as Levi South. And I want to make a bet. You down to make a bet?
What's the bet? I'm super leery of this when I saw this, and I'll tell you why. Well, no, I won't spoil it. I'm leery of it, but I'm open to it.
Just a Twitter profile picture. So if the Rams win, you get to pick my Twitter profile picture, right? Okay. And we'll put it on the league podcast one or whatever like that. Or it could be my personal. Maybe my personal. I mean, I got some pretty heavy people out in the Twitter space following me. I don't know if you know that. So
yeah, I do. You're becoming quite the Twitter bigwig.
Yeah.
CEO. Sit down, Elon Musk.
But yeah, just a Twitter profile picture, right? It could be anything. Like I've thought about what I would do, right? And I thought about when we were going to do a 3-way here, And Tony, I was like, oh, when they lose, I'll probably just put like a big clown nose or whatever right on him and a wig thing or something like that.
Okay.
Draw that stuff in there and like, some video editor. Nothing crazy. Like I'm not gonna put a big fucking like you sitting at the bottom of that big black dude's dick, right? Like hanging off of him, just like with your arms out. Like I'm not gonna do nothing like that, right? It's just like the tip of his dick is just like hanging down right on the top of your forehead. Some picture of you like
okay. So. In that case, I'm down for it. So the reason why I'm leery of it is because like I would say at least half of my Twitter followers it's probably less now because my Twitter following's expanded a little bit. There's a bunch of work people who follow me on my Twitter. Twitter and to a lesser extent Instagram. And so I have to be like, I mean, it can still be me, but I can't be like, fuck the world on my Twitter.
Yeah.
So yeah, as long as it's not going to be, like something that's like, graphically sexual or something that would get me, don't get me fired, Nate. And you got to bet.
It's just you and a G-string.
You can make all the fun. Yeah. You can make all the fun of me. I will totally be an embarrassed dumbass, but nothing that gets me fired. And we're chilling.
Yeah. This just means that the Rams are going to. This just means the Rams are going to win because I'm so confident in the fact that the Niners are going to beat the shit out of them. So yeah, and the Rams are coming off a bye too. So
just a straight up down.
Yeah, straight up
just
down.
Whether they win or lose.
Yeah, cool. Win or lose. So I'm sure. Tony, by the way, you're in this bet, so it's on. If
I have to do this, Tony, you're on by proxy. Yep, you don't get a say.
Cool. So we got a little bet going on. All right, let's move into a draft. Terrence, we're fantasy football nerds. This is based around the people in our fantasy football league, and we like to draft. It is Halloween week. So therefore, we feel compelled to aid the people on what the best Halloween costumes are. So this week's draft will be the top 5 Halloween costumes. Terrence, do you want the first pick or the turn?
I will take the turn, sir.
Okay. I will say me and Tony might have argued a little bit about what we were going to pick and stuff like that. So when he told me, I was like, I was looking for the draft and this or whatever. So he gave me kind of where he was going to go. And some of it clashed with mine. So we had a little bit of feud on Messenger earlier. But
well, you don't know where I'm going to go because we haven't chatted about this at all.
Yeah, I think we're on. I think we'll be fine. So my number 1 pick is going to be any type of costume that shows an extraordinary amount of leg.
I was wondering if you were going to let, because I had on number 1 on my list, any sexy costume. And I was like, I wonder if he'll let me fucking get away with that. So kudos. Yeah, that's basically the same thing.
So that's my 1 of 1. Terrence, you got 2 picks up on the board.
Oh my God. Okay. Let's see. That was my like top number 1. I am gonna go with for number 1. I'm gonna take I'm gonna take a classic. It's a little boring, but I do think it's like a classic one. And it's the glow in the dark skeleton. I think it's gonna be big on TikTok again because they always do the spooky, scary skeleton song. So give me glow in the dark skeleton for number 1.
Okay.
And for my number 2, I'm going to take this one only because it was the only Halloween costume that you could remember from when you were growing up as a kid, and it's as a football player. So give me that for number 2.
That one's pretty cool. Football player for you. All right. I got 2 picks here. So I'm just going to wipe out the category. Anything that shows an excessive amount of cleavage. Oh. And then my third one will be anything that shows an excessive amount of ass.
Cheap.
That is my thing right there. So Terrence
carving out all sexy costumes by individual reveals.
They could be anything, like you could be a motorcycle rider in assless chaps, which chaps are
that's fine
inherently assless, so there's no such thing as assless chaps, but yeah, you can do anything you want.
I guess I'm going to lean into the wholesome then over here.
You fumbled the bag, Terrence. Just accept it. That's what it was. And that's what it is. I let you down the pipe and you didn't take advantage of it.
all of your listeners that are wholesome individuals will be big fans of my list then, because I'm just going to lean into it now at this point. Now that I know the route you're going,
I got legs, tits, and ass.
I have no option at this point. Like I'm already in. I'm already too deep. I got to continue to lean in on the wholesome angle and just hope that that
you get salvage.
That the families and the kids carry me over the finish line.
Yeah. There you go. All right, you got 2 picks, Terence.
All right, my 2 picks. I got to at least, I guess, nibble in the sexy universe before you take everything away. So I'll go with the nurse costume, classic.
Nice. There you go.
You gotta get that in the mix. And I will go with, actually, I think especially this year because they did a new movie. I'll go with witch costume, but specifically the Hocus Pocus witches.
Yeah,
they did that. Yeah. They did that sequel, so I think that's going to be big this year.
Yeah, that one's pretty good. All right, I got my last
sexy witches, not the Hocus Pocus witches. They would not be sexy, but like just in general, like sexy witch costume, sexy nurse costume. That's okay. My dabble.
There we go. Yeah, there we go. Sexy as well. Writing that down. All right, so I got my last 2 picks, and then my last 2 picks are going to be sports related. So my last 2 picks. With my 4.2, I'm going to take Antonio Brown running off a football field for. So, look, if you're a black dude, go get you some football pants that are kind of like grayish, brownish, goldish, whatever, with a red stripe down the side, and just run around without your shirt on, flipping everybody off, and stuff like that. So, Antonio Brown's retirement costume. And then my last one is going to probably hurt feelings. It's not good, but it would be kind of comical to see it because the guy's just known for controversy, right? So, is Brett Favre. So Brett Favre, you're going to carry around your cell phone, right, with your light looking down at your junk because he's notoriously famous for sending dick pics out on unsolicited, maybe solicited, I don't know, but they ended up being unsolicited near the end. So, you could throw like an Oscar Mayer wiener or something like that out the front of your zipper. So I actually did this as an adult. We were in New Mexico and I was Brett Favre. I put like a beer helmet, painted it purple. I couldn't find a jersey, so I spray painted a big purple 4 on a shirt, right? And I had like a hot dog hanging out the front of my pants, and I just held a phone down the whole time. But in addition to what you got there, you got to make sure that you go on eBay or go somewhere and find like a bunch of old paper food stamps too, and then throw those like they're hanging out your pockets and stuff like that too, because he does like to utilize welfare funds in the state of Mississippi inappropriately to fund stadiums and stuff like that. So
what an asshole.
People aren't going to like it, but people are going to respect it. Put a lot of effort into the Brett Favre costume. So
yeah, no, that's actually a very creative costume. I like it.
Yeah. NFL related current events, we're good to go. So I didn't want to touch on the Tom Brady thing. That's near and dear to my heart. So, all right, Terence, you got the 5.2 last pick, Mr. Relevant pick. What is it?
My last pick. I mean, I'm pretty sure my whole list is chalk, but I guess we'll find out. We'll see what the social media people say. But I'm going to go with another one that is kind of current, but also just like, I don't know, scratches an important Halloween itch for me, and that's slashers, and specifically this year because of the new movie Michael Myers. So,
okay.
And it's such an easy costume to pull off. Like I've done Jason and Michael Myers before because it's literally a mask and a jumpsuit.
Yeah.
It's so easy to pull off. And like, again, the movie just came out. So you just go out there with the little rubber kitchen knife and you'll be rocking and rolling. And I couldn't have a list of costumes without at least acknowledging one slasher. So Michael Myers for my 5th pick.
Cool.
And I have a long list of honorable mentions. I jotted down so many.
I actually felt so after Tony said he wasn't going to be on, I was convinced that I can name my only 5. So I don't have any honorable mentions, Terence. So
wow.
Let's get your honorable mentions out the door, and then I'll wrap it up.
Well, in fairness, your initial 3 definitely surprised me. The angle you took. I respect the game. No, I had a bunch of like kind of the classic ones. I'll just throw a couple of them out. Actually, I'll just throw out a couple of them. Waldo. I love that people still dress up as fucking Waldo. That shit is
Yeah.
hysterical to me, that 3 decades later or whatever, people still dress up as Waldo in random places. And I'll give a shout out to the inflatable dinosaur costume, just because that shit still makes me laugh every time I see somebody running around in the inflatable dinosaur costume. And then I had a whole bunch of other, the classics: vampires, pirates, superheroes, ghosts. The Stranger Things kids, that's going to be popular this year again too. Like
Eddie Munson will be big.
Yeah. Pick your fucking Stranger Things kid, but definitely people are going to be dressing up. You're probably gonna have whole friend groups dressing up as that friend group.
Yeah.
There's so many great Halloween costumes. So have fun with it, guys.
I have one, and I've had it. I was living in California, so this is somewhere between 2014, 16 or something like that. Like somewhere around there. Probably like 2016. And it's a hot dog. So it's just a big hot dog costume, right? That has a big yellow mustard strip down the middle of it. And I just put my Dodger hat on. So I go to every Halloween since I've been a Dodger dog, essentially, right? So, but it's pretty fun because my kids think it's funny and they're like, "Dad's a hot dog," right? Or something like that. Teenage kids call me a glizzy, as I walk down the streets and stuff like that too. So I get a lot of glizzy comments, and then I have to remind them that they don't even understand how the hell to use a glizzy, so they can shut their fucking mouth. So ask your mom about the glizzy. So anyways, let's move on to violence or praise. So rants. Oh, let me summarize this. So real quick, Terence, you got glow in the dark skeleton, football player, nurse, I assume sexy, witch, sexy as well, and then slashers, mainly Michael Myers. And then I have anything showing an excessive amount of leg, anything showing an excessive amount of cleavage, anything showing an excessive amount of ass. Antonio Brown's retirement costume, and the Brett Favre welfare embezzling / dick pic taking costume, all in one. I'm winning. I understand the demographics.
I love that you managed to stretch. I was worried about whether you would let me get away with like anything sexy, and you managed to stretch sexy costume across 3 fucking entries to your list is hilarious to me. Kudos.
So I did. So me and Tony were talking about this, right? And the terminology in the excessive was a thing that he used, because I was like, I'm going into it with sexy Latina, add whatever else you want them to be, right? So it'd be like big bootied sexy Latina, In-N-Out burger worker, right? Something like that, like off the walls. Right. And then he came to me with like anything excessive, right? So I was like, okay, that's what I'm gonna change it up. So we were gonna fight on this podcast if he was here, which would have been good. So
nice.
Fuck you, Tony. All right, let's move on to rants and raves before we get out of here. Terrence, we're making some pretty decent time. Rants and raves. Terrence, you got a rant and rave this week.
Yeah, and in keeping with the Halloween theme, because I mean, shit, you brought me on the episode before Halloween. I love Halloween. Of course, I'm just going to use it as an excuse to talk about Halloween endlessly. So mine is a rave actually this week, and it's a rave about how awesome horror movies are right now. So it's been the past few years that there's been like this renaissance in the horror genre. It started with like what they call like elevated horror, like kind of like the fancy, like higher end horror movies that like A24 does, like Hereditary. But in the past couple of years, there's been a ton of really awesome spooky content. And this year in particular, it's making money hand over fist at the box office, and they're all like good movies. So you had Smile, which came out. You had Halloween Ends. I know some people didn't like it, but I actually really liked that it was something different. You had VHS 99, which was a new entry in the VHS series. You had Barbarian, which just came to HBO Max and was awesome. You have this movie Terrifier 2.
Have you watched that?
So I haven't watched Terrifier 2 yet because it wasn't playing in theaters the last time I went to a theater, but they're bringing it back this weekend for Halloween, and I'm totally going to go. I loved the first Terrifier. It was a lot of fun in kind of like a schlocky B-movie way, but like some people are probably sketched out by all these like news articles about Terrifier 2 that are like, oh, people are going to the theaters and they're like throwing up and fainting and getting lightheaded. That intrigues me to be like, okay, like how bad can this movie really be? And I have a fairly strong stomach for gore because again, I watch horror movies on a regular basis. I've seen a couple clips online, and they're really gnarly. Like it is
They say
definitely
this is the scariest movie of all time.
I haven't heard scariest. I'll let you know after I watch it. I've definitely heard goriest for sure. But I'm interested to see. I've heard a lot of people say it takes a strong stomach. I've seen 2 clips online that were traumatizing for sure. I mean, again, I made it through them, but it was sort of like, oh, like it's at that level. Like it was the clips were pretty fucking gross. I was actually surprised that they were on YouTube. That YouTube didn't pull them down because they were pretty gnarly. So yeah, I'll let you know after I watch it this weekend. But yeah, it's just nice to kind of have I don't know, a renaissance of horror movies. It seems to kind of go in cycles where there's like good ones for a few years and then shitty ones for a few years, and then it always kind of comes back around. So I'm excited that there's so much good, not only just good horror, but good original horror. Like it's not just endless sequels. I know we just talked about Terrifier 2, but it's an independent movie that was never expected to franchise. So I just love that all this original spooky content is getting love. So that's my rave.
I think I'm gonna rant. Yeah, I'm gonna rant. And then I gotta ask you a question too. I forgot to ask it earlier, but it's from Tony, so he wanted to make sure this got on the podcast.
Okay.
I am going to rant. Last week I talked about how I got out of work a little bit early, so I was doing some other things, and then I had about an hour and a half before I had to go to class at night because I'm a prestigious college student who's not doing well in school because I'd rather pump out content and do other things than do my homework. So YOLO. You don't ask your doctor what his GPA was. So anybody who thinks negatively about school can suck it. So my rant, I went and spent $23 on Del Taco and it fucked my stomach up immediately. And I had to use the restroom a lot before I was in class. And when I was at class, it was fucked me up. And I recorded a podcast with Tony after my stomach was rumbling and bumbling. It's been a week and my stomach is still fucked up. I can't trust farts.
Wow.
I can't trust them whatsoever. I literally at work and I'm like, I think I got to bust ass. I'm going to the restroom. I got to sit down. Fart. Okay, I stand up. And then my stomach, I think I'm done. And then I stand up and it's like, nope, you're not done. Go sit back down, right? And the fucking smells are terrible.
Oh my God.
It is disgusting. It is bad. I have this mat. It's cold in Colorado. This week it just got cold, right? So nighttime it's in the 30s and stuff like that. I have this big, thick duvet on my bed, right? Well, it keeps a lot of the heat in, but what it also does is it keeps all the smell in. So sometimes I wake up and I'm like, oh, I must have passed gas while I'm sitting there sleeping because it smells like a goddamn porta potty in the middle of the Middle East, like you're on a deployment. Anybody that's ever been deployed knows what that's like. It's terrible. The smells out of me are terrible.
God.
I don't even know if they're really coming out of me anymore. And I just keep smelling it because it's like stuck in my nostrils, whatever like that. I even did the little nose hair trim thing to see if there was stuff stuck on my nose hairs. Nope, it's still there. I feel like I smell like shit and I have to go to the bathroom all the time. I'm like rushing to get home. The other day on the way to work, I stopped on the way to work. I work like 25 to 30 minutes away. I was like, stopping, going into this gas station place. And at that point, you don't got a choice on the cleanliness of a restroom, right? And some gas stations here in the Colorado Springs area are really nice and they're super clean and there's something that you really want to go to. And then some of them are like your basic California corner store and they're trash inside. And it's like, I don't even want to shit in here, but I need to. It's terrible. So Del Taco can suck it. They're $23 worth of food that I ate. I had carne asada fries. I had some type of quesarito burrito thing and then some other stuff. And, but Matt does say they make a pretty decent burger, so I might try that. I might try it again. So I like Del Taco. I used to go away for work and pick up like the little 12-pack, and that'd be my food for like 2 days essentially, right, while I'm on work. So
I'm surprised that you've had those issues with Del Taco because Del Taco, at least by me, they're all pretty consistent and nothing too crazy.
A week of bubble guts.
No, thank you.
I'm in a meeting at work and I'm like, I gotta go. Like later, like what's wrong with him? He's got a shit. He can't stop it. Can't stop it. So it's not even that. It's the fact that like like I already kind of don't trust my own farts, right? We've talked about sharding before, and I've done it,
Right.
right, and stuff like that, right, as an adult. So
Yep.
it is the fact that I can feel like I'm done, and immediately when I stand up, no, you're not done. But when you immediately stand up, all the smells that your body was trapping in that toilet release up, and you're like creating like a wind tunnel, right? So then you go sit back down, and now your whole head is just masked in the stuff that you allowed to spew up. It's like when you go, I don't know if this has ever happened to you. I'm really bad at it. I'm like, oh, I gotta go take a shit. And I gotta take a shit. And as soon as I turn around to go like sit on the toilet, right, and I'm getting ready to take my pants off or move my shorts down or whatever, it's like I fart. And then I go sit down. But it's like, damn it, why did I do that? It just came out naturally. And now I'm just sitting with my face right where I busted ass. I'm surprised I haven't gotten a pink eye.
Yeah, that was going to be my follow-up. It's like be wary of other concerns.
If I were married or had a girlfriend right now, I would probably be single. So I'd probably be right back where I am. It is terrible, terrible, Terence. So, all right, let's ask this question real quick. So Tony wanted to ask, did I have, oh, never mind. He did have a question that deserves attention. How old is too old to trick or treat?
How old is too old to trick or treat? Like with like, how old is too old to trick or treat? I would think probably like junior high, I think is the cutoff.
Ooh.
Like obviously as an adult, you're going to take your kids trick or treating, or if you're in high school, you might like chaperone like younger siblings. But I feel like once you're in high school, you're too old to trick or treat, like, or you're like, or not too old. You're too cool to trick or treat, right? Like you want to do like parties with your friends instead. So I think that once you age out of, I keep saying age out or like getting too old. I don't know that there's necessarily an age ascribed with it, but once you feel like, once you get to that like cocky, I'm too cool for this mode, then that's, I think, when you transition away from it and then you never really go back. So I think that for most people, that's junior high, because once you start getting into high school, it's like, oh, that's baby stuff. So
yeah. Tony said he can't stand high schoolers coming through trying to get some candy. So he gives them candy, but they're only getting the same amount as toddlers get, right? Like he really shows them. So just in case you're wondering, but I don't know. I'd probably say sophomore year, right? Freshman, you're still kind of figuring it out. It's the beginning of the year type of thing, right? You're still probably 13, something like that. So 13, 14 years old. You probably got some siblings and stuff like that. Have one more go at it as a bigger kid. You meet new kids, go out, have fun, something like that.
That's fair.
That's where I would probably cut it off. I don't know. I got kids. If they want to trick or treat, I'm gonna take a trick or treat. I don't give a fuck what people think. I would go trick or treat if it was acceptable, but it's not. So there's that. All right, before we get out of here, we're going to pay some homage. So shout out to the 58 West King podcast. You can find them on all socials at 58 West King Pod or 58 W King Pod. That's linked down below too. So you can check out all of their stuff, their Twitter. They're pretty active on Twitter. And then they got their podcasts out there on Apple and Spotify as well, or any platform that you want to. So you can always Google them. They're in the show notes below. That's hosted by Tony, who's a frequent visitor here on this podcast. In this league, and Matt Graham, who's his co-commish, who takes care of that league as well. And Matt's episodes by himself this last couple of weeks were pretty cool, right?
Yeah,
he had that week by himself. I loved his manager on manager segment by himself, where he asked himself questions. It's just like, hey, Matt, this is this. Oh, you know what? Great question, Matt. And it was like two people going back and forth. That was pretty good.
And very Matt.
Very Matt, right? He's so good with it. Yeah. So, one of these days we got to get him on here. He's a busy man, so
yeah. Tony's mid. Don't listen to 58 West King for Tony. Yeah, Tony is very mid. So no.
Yeah, he is definitely. He's the worst podcast host of all time. He has no integrity because he literally made a bet with me to put an intro on all of his podcasts this week, and he released one without it. So, I don't know what they call that. Indian giver. Is that still socially acceptable? Nothing on this podcast is socially acceptable. So it fits the brand. He's an Indian giver. There's that. And then you want to tell the people what you guys got going on over at Whiskey Flick Podcast, Terence.
Yeah, all kinds of fun stuff. So Whiskey Flick on any place you listen to podcasts. Nate already talked about it earlier. We talk about movies while we drink whiskey. I've got 2 episodes in the hopper. I'm a lazy motherfucker who just needs to sit down and edit them. But we should have a couple of football related episodes coming out within the next week. One that we did with one of my buddies that's a Twitch streamer. That'll be coming out first, and then the episode that we did with you and Tony. So excited to get those out. And then after that, we got spooky movies in the hopper. We've got the Lord of the Rings trilogy coming up. And then at the end of the year, we're going to do some Christmas movies. So Nate, I'm sure we'll have you on for at least one of those episodes to talk Christmas movies. So yeah, a lot in the tank. Just, finding the time to sit down and do it has been a challenge lately, but hopefully we'll get some more regular episodes out there really soon.
Yep. That's cool. We're looking forward to it. So, and once again, you can check this podcast out on all social platforms. So you got Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, daily videos out on all of those platforms going forward. So there's that. If you're watching on YouTube, we really appreciate it. So if you want to hit a little subscribe, leave a comment, something like that, hit the notification bell. That really help us out as well. So let's get in front of more people. Terence, the other day, so I haven't shared a link to the YouTube anywhere on socials, right? I've kind of just been like, I want to learn this and see it, right? They have so many analytics in YouTube. It's pretty cool. But the other day I posted one with one of the clips from the last episode where we talked about Josh Allen out yardaging the entire Chicago Bears team, right? So I posted a YouTube video clip on that, right? Made a thumbnail and stuff like that and did the thing without telling anybody about it. Unless you're subscribed to the channel, you wouldn't see it. But it showed up in, I think there's 32 views within 24 hours, right? The first 24 hours. And the channel's only 3 days old at the time. So I was kind of proud of that. 32 views. I looked at the analytic thing and it said people, it came up from YouTube search. So, not sharing or anything like that. People just searched and they came up. So nice. I was like, that's pretty neat. Got to figure out what the hell I did right there. So I don't know. Look at it. So figure that out.
I'm still trying to figure out YouTube. It's so interesting. I've had a couple of clips from, actually I changed my strategy a little bit on social when we dropped the Dark Knight episode, and I had a couple of clips from that hit really good on TikTok and hit really good on shorts. The most views I've ever gotten on anything. I mean, we're talking like 3,000 views on shorts, and then pretty similar on TikTok. And then the last clip from that exact same episode tanked on both.
Yeah.
So I don't fucking understand it. I think as soon as I think I understand it, the platform kicks me in the nuts.
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun. Just looking at it and 100%. Be like, okay, what are people liking? What are the demographics and stuff like that? But yeah, if you're out there, interact with us on any of the socials. Like I said, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, anything like that. Leave a YouTube comment, something. Let us know what you want to hear. If you want to do certain drafts, you think about different stuff around the holidays or any time of year, just let us know. Reach out to us and we'll push it in the show. So shout out to the homie Leonard Benton. He's a frequent listener. I went to high school with this guy, and I'm always surprised when people listen to the episodes, right? Or they say, "Hey, I listened to this. This was kind of funny," or whatever. But it seems like he listens to every episode because he was going at Tony in one of the comments about him picking candy corn last week as the number 1 Halloween candy of all time. He was like, "Nope, fucking canceled. This, or whatever like that." So, so it's pretty good getting some interaction from him. And I've known him. I worked with him before I joined the military and stuff like that too. So. We used to work at Walmart together, had a good time. I used to go play Madden with him and, do drugs and shit like that. So I don't know if he wants people knowing he's done drugs in the past, but whatever. We've done drugs in the past. So, all right. Banger of the week. So I mentioned it earlier, my favorite Christmas movie being Nightmare Before Christmas, and Halloween is my transition into Christmas time. I don't give a shit about Thanksgiving. All the woke folk out there about, oppression and genocide and stand up for Ukraine. And then they're over here fucking frying turkeys and all this kind of stuff about, us Europeans who came over and dominated a continent. So, I don't know. It seems a little hypocritical to me, but banger of the week. I think it's a good song, right? This is Halloween week, so we're gonna play "This Is Halloween" from Nightmare Before Christmas for Terence Dunn of the Whiskey Philip Podcast. I am Nate. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.